When you think about India, you have to think about its rivers. They're so much more than just, well, water. They're the absolute lifelines of the nation. But here's the thing, they're not all created equal. We're going to dive into the two completely different families of rivers that shape the subcontinent. And believe me, each one has its own incredible story.
So it really all boils down to this one big question, right? What's the actual difference between a river that starts its life as ice, high up in the mountains, and one that's born from the rain? The answer to that? Well, that's pretty much the story of India right there.
All right, first up, let's talk about the big guys, the Himalayan giants. I mean, these are the rivers born from the roof of the world. They're powerful, they flow all year round, and that's because they have this constant supply from melting snow and massive glaciers. They never run dry.
And this really gets to the heart of it. On one side, you've got the Himalayan rivers. They're fed by snow and rain, so they just keep going all year long. They're young, they're powerful, and they're literally carving massive canyons through the mountains. Then you have the Peninsular rivers. They're a whole different story. They're ancient, much more mature, and they depend entirely on the monsoon rains, so their flow is seasonal. This is the key difference we're going to keep coming back to.
Now, you can't talk about Himalayan rivers without talking about the Ganga. It's the absolute heart of the system. It actually starts its journey as a river called the Bhagirathi, born right from the Gangotri Glacier, but it officially becomes the Ganga at this really sacred spot called Devprayag, which is where it merges with another river, the Alaknanda. It's a pretty incredible sight.
Okay, get ready for this number because it's staggering. 40%. That's right, the Ganga Basin, just that one river system, supports 40% of India's entire population. I mean, that's almost half the country. It's not just a river, it's the absolute cultural and economic engine of the nation.
And the Ganga doesn't make this journey alone. It's fed by all these other rivers, its tributaries. You have the mighty Yamuna, which is huge in its own right. And then you have the infamous Kosi, which is known as the Sorrow of Bihar for its devastating floods. The whole journey ends in the Bay of Bengal, where all that water and silt creates the Sundarbans, the largest delta on planet Earth.
Okay, now for a river that's just a total beast, the Brahmaputra. It's a river of absolute extremes. It starts way up in Tibet, where it's called the Zangpo. And get this, it flows east, completely parallel to the Himalayas for hundreds of miles, before it takes this wild hairpin turn to smash its way into India. It's incredible.
The sheer power of this river is just mind-blowing. It carries so much silt and is so wide that it actually created Majuli, the world's largest river island. I mean, an island in a river. Of course, all that power also leads to catastrophic floods, and it creates these really cool features called braided channels. Basically, the river drops so much sediment that it chokes its own path and has to split into a whole network of smaller streams that weave in and out. It's a beautiful, chaotic mess.
All right, let's head south now and completely shift gears. We're going to meet the peninsular workhorses. These are the ancient, steady rivers that are the absolute lifeblood of southern India. But remember, their entire existence, their very flow, is tied directly to the monsoon. And if there's one star player in this peninsular system, it's got to be the Godavari. It starts in the Trimbak Hills, and it's the longest river in this part of India. It's so important, in fact, that it has this nickname, the Dakshin Ganga, which literally means Ganga of the South.
So most of these southern rivers flow east, out into the Bay of Bengal. But then there's the Narmada. The Narmada is a bit of a rebel. It completely bucks the trend and flows west, all the way to the Arabian Sea.
So why does it do that? Well, it's because it's flowing through a rift valley, this massive geological trench between two mountain ranges, the Vindhya and the Satpura. This unique path has carved out some absolutely stunning landscapes, like the famous Marble Rocks Gorge. And you know, that deep valley also makes it a perfect spot for building major dams. Further south, you have the Kaveri. It's a sacred river, and it's the absolute lifeline for farmers in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. But here's the catch. When something is that vital, and you have to share it, well, it can also become a source of some serious conflict.
And that's the two-sided coin of the Kaveri, isn't it? On one hand, its waters have created the rice bowl of Tamil Nadu, this incredibly fertile delta. It's a giver of life. But on the other hand, because there's only so much water to go around, it's been at the center of a bitter, decades-long water-sharing dispute between the states that depend on it.
But you know, the story of these rivers isn't just about ancient geography and where they flow. It's also about the very modern, very real challenges that are threatening their future right now.
And this is a really tough one to swallow. We're talking about the Yamuna here, the Ganga's main partner river.
By the time it flows through Delhi, it's basically become an open sewer. It's a dumping ground for so much untreated waste that it transforms from a sacred river into something dangerously toxic. Of course, for decades, India has also been trying to tame these rivers, to harness their power. We've built these massive dams everywhere. You've got the Bakra Nangal up north on the Sutlej, the Sardar Sarovar on the Narmada we just talked about. These huge engineering projects are really a symbol of the country's ambition to control its water. But there's an idea that's even more ambitious, maybe even audacious: interlinking the rivers. I mean, the concept is simple on paper, right? Take water from the rivers that have too much and divert it to the regions that don't have enough. It's this grand vision to solve both floods and droughts in one go.
And this isn't just some fantasy on a drawing board. It's actually happening. You've got projects like the Ken-Betwa Link, which is designed to bring water to the super dry Bundelkhand region. But, and this is a big but, these mega projects are incredibly controversial. You have critics pointing out the massive ecological cost. We're talking about drowning entire forests and wildlife habitats. Not to mention displacing thousands of people from their homes. It really makes you ask, do the benefits actually outweigh this kind of damage?
So there you have it. These two totally different families of rivers that shape India. But for all their differences, their age, their source, their power, they're now facing a very common and very uncertain future.
And this really brings it all home, doesn't it? It's the perfect summary of the two systems. You've got the Himalayan giants born from glaciers carving deep gorges versus the peninsular workhorses born from rain, flowing through wide, gentle valleys. Getting this difference is absolutely fundamental to understanding India's entire water situation.
And that leaves us with the most important question of all. The very things that give birth to these rivers, the glaciers in the Himalayas and the monsoon rains, are changing. Climate change is a reality. So as the ice shrinks and the rains become unpredictable, the real challenge for India isn't just about managing two river systems anymore. It's about how to secure their very existence for the future. What happens when the lifelines themselves are at risk?